Hello crafty friends and happy International Scrapbooking Day. I hope you have been having fun over here at the Hip Kit Club channel and on our Facebook group. Lots of inspiration and lots of tutorials and mini classes this weekend over here. My tutorial is about how to create a monochromatic layout. So let's jump right into it. As you can see, I am selecting papers for the purpose. I have decided to go with a blue color scheme, as the color periwinkle seems to be the favorite color shade in the more recent hip kits. So for my layout, I've selected papers from the April and the March 2024 main kit and the April 2024 cardstock kit. So these are the alphas I'm planning to use. The bigger alpha set is from the April kit, and then the smaller puffy alphas are add-ons which are still available in the shop. And I have cut out a couple of floral cut files from the January releases. So I'm back to going through the papers again. This time I'm looking at them more specifically in relation to the photo and to the blue and the green-blue hues on the photo, and also in relation to the colors of the mini ink set that came in the April color kit. And I'm trying to, there's plenty of blue shades to choose from, but I'm also trying to choose some of the papers with more of a blue-green or turquoise color combination on. I will be talking a little bit more about color theory later on in the process video, but for now I'm just trying to balance the blues and the turquoise out, which is a little bit tricky because, like I said, plenty of blue shades in the paper selection, but not so much turquoise. So what I've done, I have added a couple of the branding strips from some of the papers. So once I selected my papers, I'm just creating some paper strips with torn edges using my ruler. And in the end, I have included 4 strips of paper at the bottom of the page. You'll see it in a minute. And I'm going to be layering the darkest. Oh yeah, here come the branding strips I talked about earlier. So I'm going to be layering the darkest blue at the bottom and then sort of fade it out going upwards. And then here I'm adding my paper strips to the bottom, and I just really craved the blue-green, the turquoise color, so that's why I added it to the bottom, and it creates such a lovely contrast with that darker blue paper. And then the other branding strip will go at the top of the page, and that's actually worked out quite well because the other branding strip is a different color but the same pattern as one of the blue pattern papers at the bottom, so that creates a bit of a cohesion and brings the top and the bottom of the page together. And here I kind of skipped a little bit in the video. I cut out 2 floral pieces. These florals were in the January cut file releases, and I cut them both from black and from white cardstock, but I knew at the heart of my heart that I will be choosing the black ones because it just creates quite a nice contrast with the white background. So I'm creating like a mixed media background, but later I will abandon this idea and I will go with something else, so you will see that in a minute. But I have used the stamps from the March color kit, which I just find just so nice to use on backgrounds and to create those sort of distressed backgrounds. because these are water reactive paints, I am adding a bit of water just to create more of a distressed effect. And I think this is where I left it on the day, because it just became so overcast that I just couldn't continue with the filming. And when I went back to it the next day, I really didn't like it. I just thought it was a bit too harsh and I had something different in my mind. So, but it's not going to go into waste. You'll see in a minute what I'm doing with it, but I'm just starting here with a different piece of cardstock. So this cardstock is a treated cardstock, so it has got gesso applied to it. So I didn't have to treat it, but I'm just applying some texture paste using a stencil, a hip kit stencil, and I'm adding some clear embossing powder to it, and then I'm going to heat treat it with my heat tool. You'll see in a minute how it comes out. So it's a white on white effect, but it is slightly shiny, so it just gives that sort of subtle little detail. And in here, I just basically, rather than peeling off all the paper strips and damaging the paper, I'm just cutting it away from the original white cardstock I used, and I'm going to be adding it to the other cardstock. And in here, I cut some of this out, but I left enough just so you see what I'm doing. I'm basically creating coloured cardstock, distress coloured cardstock, by using the colour kit and the stamp, and I'm going to be using this to back the leaves of the cut files. For the floral part of the cut files, I have chosen 2 blue shades from the cardstock kit, and these are quite light shades of blue, so it actually creates quite a nice contrast against the deeper, darker hue of the leaves. And I'm using the packaging technique to add the inks to the background, which gives much more of a subtle effect, a more subtle pop of colour. I prefer, for this particular layout, I much more prefer than using the stamps. And I quite like how the embossed areas create a resistance, the heat embossed areas. And I'm trying to balance the colours out a little bit. So because the paper strips I'm using at the bottom are more blue, I'm using the turquoise inks at the bottom, and proportionately there's a bit more turquoise going on at the top half of the page, so I'm using more of the blue inks at the top. And this creates a bit of a balance between the two halves of the layout. So while I'm doing the rest of the layout, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the colour theory. So this layout is a monochromatic layout. Monochromatic means of one colour. When we do a monochromatic layout in scrapbooking, some people do a true one colour layout using different hues. I don't. It doesn't work for me. I find it too jarring. So I tend to use a colour scheme based on what is known in colour theory as analogous colours. So this means using 3 colours which are side by side on a 12-part colour wheel, and this will create colour harmony on any layout. So my colours, my main colour, my primary colour is blue, and the 2 neighbouring colours on a colour wheel are blue-green, which is the turquoise one, and also blue-purple or blue-violet, which is basically the periwinkle colour, which you can see me adding here with for the titles. So what I find helpful when creating a monochromatic layout is looking at the colours of the photo, choosing a photo which has a lot of neutrals going on, like this one. It's got browns, beiges, stone colour and black, and it also has pops of colours which are the blue, the denim blue and the turquoise. So I allowed the photo to determine what colours to choose, and then I went for the blue on the 12-part colour wheel, and I chose 1 colour on either side, and I chose embellishments from these 3 colours. I used a white background, which I almost always do with monochromatic layouts, and I always use an accent colour, which is one of the neutral colours. In this case I chose black because it went really well with the black cat on the photo, and I know that any black accents in an embellishment cluster would just tie in really well with the photo. But in some cases I might use a less jarring or less intense colour. So I have been known to use a brown or even a beige or a navy or even gold. That can work quite well. And this way I don't find a monochromatic layout too jarring, and it doesn't sort of jump out of my album every time I turn the page to it. So, you know, this is what works for me. Different things work for different people, but this is just a few pointers really, if you want to try your hands at creating a monochromatic layout. So what I would like to encourage you to do is not to copy me, but just take some pointers from this tutorial if you wish to do so. Have a look at the colour wheel, find the photo you like. My recommendation would be with plenty of neutral colours, but it's completely up to you. Choose some colours from the photo and let those colours decide what the main colour is going to be on your monochromatic layout, and go for it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a really good time watching our Scrapfest this weekend, and happy International Scrapbooking Day. Bye bye.